Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Get to Know your ERB. My name is Mwelo Chvesokuna, and I'm your host for this conversation, where I'll be sitting down with the Director, Technical Regulation, who will be telling me a bit about what goes on in his department. So stay tuned for insights from this conversation. Welcome back. And with me for this interview is Mr. Alan Polito. Mr. Alan Polito, how are you?
Thank you so much. I'm fine, thank you.
Absolutely. So, you oversee the Technical Regulation Department, which we understand is a department that ensures the quality and safety of energy products, protecting consumers, and maintaining standards across the energy sector. Its work involves inspections, audits, and enforcing compliance and safety protocols, particularly as new energy technologies emerge. Mr. Polito, are you just able to share with us, how your department ensures the quality and safety of energy products consumed in Zambia?
I think before I even answer the question, let me just give a brief overview of the Technical Regulations Department. Mm-hmm. Within the ERB circles and the industry, Technical Regulations has an acronym, TR. Mm-hmm. So in this interview, whenever you hear me say TR, just know that I'm referring to the Technical Regulations Department.
Right.
TR is one of the 6 directorates within ERB, the other 5 being licensing, corporate and consumer affairs, economic regulations, finance, and legal and boutique title services. The TR is what you could consider like the inspectorate wing of the ERB. We've seen in certain situations, guys in white coats, pads, and pen and paper. This is who we are at ERB. We are the eyes of the institutions in terms of inspection. And our role within ERB is to carry out technical and compliance inspections on energy infrastructure across the supply chain. And to assist us to carry out our functions, we rely on legal frameworks, the law, the standards, the codes of practice, the guidelines, and the board directives that are issued from time to time. And the focus of our inspections mainly are to do with environmental protection, the performance of licensees, service delivery, quality safety, and the reliability of energy supply. So in a nutshell, that's who we are as ERB. Now coming back to answer your questions in terms of how we ensure quality and safety in the products that are being consumed, the department undertakes inspections and enforces standards, the ones I've mentioned already, and the board directives to ensure that all the licensees and all the players in the sector are complying to the set rules and prescribed requirements.
Right.
The department also carries out inspections and monitor the quality of products across the supply chain. For example, in the petroleum subsector, we carry out sampling and testing of fuel from the filling stations, from the depots, and from the refinery when it's used to operate, just to make sure that the fuel that is going to find the consumers meets the most stringent specifications. The ERB also carries out inspections to ensure that the electricity that is being produced meets the power quality requirements that are being prescribed. In addition to that, the department is implementing what is called the fuel marking program. Fuel marking, just for the sake of our viewers, is a program where a chemical is added to fuel in small and prescribed quantities to act like a stamp or a signature. We add that chemical to petrol, diesel, and kerosene to distinguish the 3 products from each other. I'm sure most of us are familiar with the term changanya.
Correct.
People used to add kerosene to diesel to maximize profits, illegally, of course. But with this fuel marking program, which we commenced implementing as a department, ERB, and then as a department, as the enforcers in 2018, we're able to detect if you have added kerosene to the diesel, because we are going to see the signature of the kerosene in the diesel. And of course, we'll take necessary actions against perpetrators. What the program also does is it has ring-fenced the fuel in Zambia because it's now marked with a unique signature. So if, for example, there is a smuggled fuel coming into Zambia or transit fuel to the Congo is dumped into Zambia, this smuggled fuel or dumped fuel will dilute our signature because it's not marked. So we'll be able to detect any illegalities happening in the industry. So basically, in a nutshell, Those are the measures that we use as a department to ensure that the fuel that is being produced and consumed meets the most strictest quality requirements and specifications to ensure that our people out there have confidence in the ERB and also in terms of our work that we do.
Absolutely, and obviously that's quite fascinating. Now, when it comes to the role of inspections and audits, are you able to just share with us what role inspections and audits play in upholding safety and ensuring compliance among energy service providers?
Inspections and audits are very crucial in ensuring that we uphold safety and compliance amongst the players in the industry. Through the audits and inspections, we're able to identify potential dangers in the industry, in the infrastructure that is being used to generate or produce energy. And from the findings that come out of those inspections and audits, the industry is able to develop mitigation measures to address the risks that have been identified. In that way, we're able to safeguard the lives of the employees and also the general public. Inspections also enable us to check that the licensees or players in the industry are complying with the license conditions that have been prescribed in their licenses and also complying with the standards that have been produced. In addition to that, one of the things that we are doing as a department is implementing what is called risk-based auditing. We started this intervention last year, 2024. What we are doing with risk-based auditing is basically we expect all licensees to carry out self-audits of their infrastructure and then submit a report to the ERB. Once the ERB receives that report through our department, we're able to determine a sample using a scientific methodology, which we verify as ERB to check that what our findings are tallying with what the licensee found in their inspections. What that intervention is doing is to put the licensee and the ERB on the same pathway to achieving enhanced compliance to safety and compliance to standards. What that does also is focusing the minimum or limited resources that the ERB has towards strategic interventions that will give us maximum impact. Thank you very much.
Now that's very, very interesting. And, one would also imagine that, with emerging energy technologies, if I can call it that, it does pose a very interesting challenge in terms of how to regulate it. How does your department address the regulatory challenges posed by emerging energy sources such as solar and LPG?
My department, working with other stakeholders, actively involved in the designing and developing of interventions that will address the challenges that we face, and also to deal with emerging solutions like solar and LPG. What we do as a department is to work very closely with the Zambia Bureau of Standards to develop relevant standards that speak to those particular emerging technologies like solar and LPG. What we do also as a department is to ensure that the frameworks that we have are robust enough to respond to the emerging technologies. Technologies change more often than sometimes you expect. And working with other stakeholders, other regulators, the general public, and also industry players, we are able to develop frameworks where they are not existent, and where they are existent are inadequate, we're able to review them and update them. So basically, those are some of the interventions that we do to respond to emerging issues like solar and LPG. In addition, the department is working on a regulation on LPG to enhance compliance to safety. That regulation is also going to help us develop interventions that are going to help increase accessibility to the product. We are in a power deficit situation, so we need LPG to be accessed easily by everyone so that we can pass through this challenging climate-induced energy deficit.
Right. Now, obviously, when it comes to issues pertaining to safety, your department is obviously very, very critical in terms of monitoring, complaints as well as incidences. What mechanisms are in place to monitor and address safety-related complaints and incidences?
In the energy sector, all licensees are required by law to notify the ERB when there's an incident that is affecting the supply of energy or availability of energy. And the requirement is that a report is submitted to the ERB in a prescribed format and within certain timelines, so that the ERB is able to intervene and investigate in good time and devise measures to prevent a recurrence of such incidents. So basically, those interventions, of course, working with other relevant agencies. For example, if there's a fire, we work with the fire departments, Zambia Environmental Management Agency, if there's a spillage, things like that. Yeah.
Right. Now, one can already observe that, your department obviously collaborates with various stakeholders in terms of strengthening and improving standards. How does your department partner with these other entities to improve energy safety and quality standards?
The Energy Regulation Act number 12 of 2019, section 4C, empowers us to monitor the efficiency and performance of energy enterprises, of course, working with other relevant bodies. And through that empowerment, our department works, for example, with Zambia Bureau of Standards to devise the standards. As you've noticed, we are inspectors, so we need tools. One of our tools is the standards. So we need to develop the standard that will speak to our work. We cannot execute our work without the standards and the guidelines and the frameworks. So we work with Zambia Bureau of Standards and Zambia Composite Standards to develop standards. The department also works with institutions like Zambia Environmental Management Agency, the local authorities, RDA, and any other relevant agencies to approve the construction of energy infrastructure. I think you've seen a number of filling stations coming up within Zambia, yes, which is a good thing. But one thing I need to mention is, in that approval process, the ERB is at the tail end. So we rely on these agencies. ZEMA must approve. They must meet the requirements of RDA, Road Transport and Safety Agency. In our determination of an application for construction of an energy infrastructure, we make sure that they have met all these requirements and all the necessary approvals have been obtained.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that we've also observed is that your department doesn't shy away from innovation, and one can imagine that leveraging innovation for oversight is obviously very important. Yeah. How does the department evaluate and integrate innovative approaches to enhancing regulatory oversight?
Again, I will refer to our enabling legislation, the Energy Regulation Act number 12 of 2019, section 4O. It empowers us to promote the use of technologies, emerging technologies in our work. And some of the innovations that we've managed to evaluate and integrate in our work includes the online portal, where license applications have been automated. You can apply and report on that portal. You can also report consumer-related complaints on the same portal. As part of our work as a department, we have integrated the use of GIS, Geographical Information Systems, to enable us map up the infrastructure. For example, we have locations of filling stations well known and mapped out, and that intervention also is helping us to know and identify areas that need attention. Another innovative approach that we've integrated is to automate the supply chain. On a daily basis, the ERB keeps an eye on the performance of the energy sector, particularly with regards to stocks, fuel stocks. But we get those reports by email, WhatsApp, or phone call from the licensees. But we've integrated an innovative approach to automate or digitalize the network. So we are going to install gadgets at filling stations, at depots, and on trucks, so that in real time, we'll be able to know how much stocks we have in the country and also monitor the flow of the products. What that does is it gives us information on our fingertips to make a decision and ensure that we have oversight on what's happening in the industry with regards to stocks and product movements, so that we're not caught by surprise.
Right. Yeah. On a final note, one of the things that we've also acknowledged is that regulatory frameworks must evolve, obviously, to meet industry standards. Yeah. How would you say your department is able to keep up to date with standards to reflect advancements in energy technologies and practice?
Like I've mentioned before, we need standards. We need codes of practice to do our work. And these will need to be reviewed and updated or developed to respond to emerging technologies or to changes that occur in the production systems. We need to respond to changes in the design and specifications. We need to respond to, like I mentioned, technologies that come up like solar, like LPG. Hence, we need to review and update standards on a regular basis. And to do that, we work with Zambia Bureau of Standards and Zambia Compulsory Standards. These are agencies with relevant mandates, but we work with them. For example, we need to develop a standard on LPG, which we need as a tool to carry out our inspections. But the mandate rests with ZABs. So we need to work with them, collaborate with them to develop that tool that we require as ERB. In addition to that, as ERB, we also work with other agencies within Zambia and outside Zambia to ensure that we align our standards and our frameworks to what is happening, for example, in the region. So that the tools that we are using are responding to the requirements of the industry and also meet the best international best practice and industry practice.
Right. No, Mr. Alan Polito, thank you so much for sharing the insights from your department.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So there you've heard it. We have been speaking to Mr. Alan Polito, who is, a director of technical regulation at the Energy Regulation Board. So stay tuned to all our platforms for more insights on the Get to Know series of the ERB. I've been Molo Chwesakunde, your host for this particular interview. Stay tuned and get to know.